Welcome back to Devotions. I'm your host, Jaden, and today we're going to be delving right back into Amos with Amos 2. So let me make sure my microphone's right in place. All right, there we go. So, forewarning before we start this, Amos 2 is, I guess it's good news and bad news. Good news is it is ending off on the judgment cycles from the last chapter, Amos 1, where every single verse or every other verse was a different place that God was casting judgment upon because they were wicked. Uh, this is the end of them, but the entire scripture, as far as as far as I can read from my notes here, is about is all still about judgment. So we are kind of still in the beginning parts of the story, not quite yet into the bread and butter of Amos. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, here we are with Amos 2. So, again, just like the first chapter, the first couple verses are unlabeled, so we'll read those and then continue on from there. Amos 2. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4, I will not turn away thy punishment thereof, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime. But I will send a fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Kirioth, and Moab shall die with tumult. Or tumult, not tumult. Not entirely sure how you say that. I think it's tumult. Oh man, the camera. There we go. Of shall die with tumult, with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet. And I will cut off the judge from the midst thereof, and I will slay all the princes thereof with him, saith the Lord. And then this next section is titled, Judgment on Judah. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Judah, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have despised the law of the Lord, and have not kept his commandments, and their lies caused them to err, after which their fathers have walked. But I will send a fire upon Judah, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem. And then, finally, judgment on Israel. Chapter verses 6 to 16. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they sold the righteous for silver, and the poor for a pair of shoes. The pant after the dust of the earth on the head of the poor, and turn aside the way of the meek. And a man and his father will go in unto the same maid, to profane my holy name. And they lay themselves down upon clothes laid to pledge by every altar, and they drink the wine of the condemned in the house of their God. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them. The Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his roots from beneath. I also I brought you up from the land of Egypt, and led you 40 years through the wilderness, to possess the land of the Amorite. And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord? But ye gave the Nazarites wine to drink, and commanded the prophets, saying, Prophesy not. Behold, I am pressed under you, as a cart is pressed that is full of sheaves. Therefore the flight shall perish from the swift, and the strong shall not strengthen his force. Neither shall the mighty deliver himself. Neither shall he stand that handleth the bow, and he that is swift of foot shall not deliver himself. Neither shall he that rideth the horse deliver himself. And he that is courageous among the mighty shall flee away naked in that day, saith the Lord. So, there we go. So, this chapter is obviously a bit less destructive, at least on the Lord's side, because it only has 3 nations that are being judged. But in this one, Israel is judged pretty harshly amongst all of them, which is, I mean, it's not surprising. I have another video on this that I made a month or two ago, basically talking about the downfall of Israel in the Bible, and this is kind of just adding to it, really. Talking about how they had their own gods and how they kind of, instead of defiling their enemies, they kind of befriended their enemies in this specific setting. But now let's get on to the breakdown. Excuse me, sorry. So Amos chapter 2 finishes the list of judgments against surrounding nations by targeting Moab, then turns the judgment inward to God's own people in Judah and the northern kingdom of Israel for social injustice, moral corruption, and rejecting God's laws. First, judgment on Moab in verses 1 through 3. Starting with the crime. Moab burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime, showing extreme disrespect for the king, or for the dead. And then, finally, the punishment. The God will send, or did send, fire on Moab and destroyed the strongholds of Kerioth amid battle noises and chaos. And then the next part is judgment on Judah, verses 4 through 5. The crime was Judah rejected the law of the Lord and followed false lies that led their ancestors astray. And then God sent, as the punishment, God sent fire upon them as well, to consume the fortresses of Jerusalem. And then finally, the judgment on Israel, verses 6 through 16. Social injustice is the first part, or the first note or subpoint, where people sold the poor and innocent for silver or a pair of sandals, crushing the heads of the needy into the dust. And then they also had moral decay. Fathers and children shared the same women, breaking holy standards. And then you had religious abuse, where they lounged beside altars on clothes taken unfairly as pledges from the poor, and drank wine bought with unjust fines. And then rejection of the prophets. Israel forced Nazarites to break their holy vows and told God's prophets to stop speaking the truth. Also, man, throat's acting up today. I'm sorry, I apologize. And then the final part of this is the punishment. They seem to have done the most wrong out of all the nations mentioned in these first 2 chapters. And God's punishment was God felt weighed down like a loaded cart. And it states that the fastest, strongest, and bravest soldiers of Israel would not escape or survive. Meaning that even the fastest, the strongest, the greatest warriors wouldn't survive his punishment. And I feel like this is just kind of just a way for me to reinforce what I said in the last video, where God's justice will always find a way to punish the wicked, or God will always find a way to bring justice to the wicked, if you will. And I want to clarify something. I made in my little parentheses note on the side of my video title on YouTube side of things. I said justice for the wicked. When I wrote that, it sounded good. It's like justice being brought to the wicked, but justice for the wicked kind of sounds like I'm saying, like justice for this group of people, or justice for this person. Like I want justice to be brought to them in their favor, which is just not what I was talking about. Especially when I'm saying justice for evil or justice for the wicked. So I just wanted to clarify that. I meant justice in terms of punishment, not justice in terms of like them getting reparation for something that was done to them. I feel like that shouldn't have to be disclosed. I feel like that should be pretty obvious to people. But in the event that it isn't, there you go. So I feel like there's not much that I can really say about this that I didn't say about the last one. Pretty much, like I said just a second ago, it pretty much highlights how all the different nations in the Bible, or several different nations in the Bible, how they acted up and they were disobedient to God and they were evil and wicked, and how they got punished. And the moral of it is God will always God always punishes the wicked, whether it's, excuse me, right away or over time. And how he does it always varies, you know. Maybe if you do something wicked, it's kind of like maybe it creeps up on you and you just feel worse and worse and worse about it. It's just God kind of creeping up in your being and making you feel sorry for it. Or maybe you're genuinely a terrible person and you do something bad and you just kind of like have an instant wave of anguish. You know, it could be instant, it could be over time. I mentioned this yesterday, and I don't want to expound upon it too much more. There is not really too much to expound upon. So I'll leave you with another scripture verse, and I'm kind of just making this up on the fly. So this is Psalm 23:4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Even in times of trouble, in times of evil, when people are being wicked, and we're walking through that, we're living through that, we're having to deal with that, the Lord is with us. He is thy rod, or thy rod, his rod and his staff, they comfort us in times of trouble, even when people are being wicked and needing and in need of punishment. And that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. And I will see you guys in the next video. Remember to share the good word. Bye.